You're listening to the Teach Better Talk podcast featuring expert educators eager to share progressive tactics to reach more students. Teach Better Talk is created by teachers and fueled by passion. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 158 of Teach Better Talk. My name is Ray Hewart, and as always, I am with my pain in the butt friend, Jeff Carter.
Normally I would be offended, but I totally get it.
Pain in the butt, my friends. Pain in the butt.
So look, I don't know if I want to tug at this string or not, but what specifically spurred that on? Is it something specific I did today, or is it just a general always?
It's okay. First of all, it's an always.
Hi, dog. Which dog was that? Hi, Harvey.
That was Harvey. Apparently,
I got just his nose. It's great.
If you want to be able to see Harvey, head over to YouTube to check out the Teach Better Talk
best part is where he was in
friends.
the video. I could totally edit out and no one would have known, but I had to call it out because it's Harvey. He made an appearance. Well done.
Yeah.
So we're podcasting still.
Yeah, it's true.
And you were talking about how I'm the best co-host in the world. You love working with me. You thank your lucky stars every day, and it's just the best thing ever. Yes?
No.
Go ahead.
No, I was talking about how you're a pain in the butt, and there's a whole lot of reasons, but instead, let's talk about the elephant in the room and the fact that we recorded our last episode weeks before it came out, and then the world ended.
It wasn't even weeks, it was just a week before.
It was a week before, and the episode came out, and I was listening back to it because I was so excited that we interviewed Brian Bates, who's an amazing educator. If you didn't listen to that episode, guys, go check that one out. And literally, I'm like, we're joking about having spring break vacations. I'm like, oh, is that before
it was? It was just a few days. It was a few days. Ohio was starting to do some. I think Ohio was talking about it, but no one else was. And Illinois was like, what's coronavirus? And then 4 days later, it's oh, that's what it is. And then everything changed. So yeah, that was one of those interesting things. But I actually kind of like the fact that it is that because it really just shows how quickly all this stuff got crazy and stuff. So,
That's true. So you've been a pain in the butt because as all this has been going on, you and I were talking with Chad about what we could do to support people, and literally it went from 0 to 60 in 6 hours. We were doing 7 podcast episodes a week. We're doing daily drop-ins. We're doing all these blogs. It's just we published a course in 5 hours. What happened?
The course came super fast, which is normally hey, how long do we need to do a course? 2 to 3 months, and should put together a course. How long do we need to do the course now? 4 hours. Let's do that. Yeah, 4 hours sounds good.
Yeah. Seriously, spoiler alert. Simply because I love our podcast listeners, I recorded that course after we did the podcast that night, Monday night. I recorded that entire course. And then we edited it and pushed it out. It's crazy, right? If you look, my outfit's the same.
I'll have to check that. That's funny. That's good stuff. So can we please highlight someone tonight? Can we highlight someone? Is that... We've done it a few times. I really... Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. You. Sorry, she has... For those of you just listening, not watching, Ray raises her hand I don't know why. But go ahead, Ray.
Only because... I feel like there's been so many amazing people we could highlight, but I have one specifically who popped instantly into my head. So do you have someone, or... I
have an idea of who you're picking.
Were you reading my mind or something? It's super crazy.
I'm reading your mind.
Okay, does it start with a D?
It does.
No, it doesn't. Stop. Give me the first letter of the last name.
S.
Oh, you totally do know
I get
who
it?
I'm picking.
I told you.
Yes.
I know who you're talking about. I know. David
butt.
Schwimmer from Friends. Ross is the best. I love it. Let's totally talk about Ross. He's a paleontologist. He's been divorced 3 times. He's got a son and now a daughter. Potentially married to Rachel. We don't know because, never did a reboot.
This is not where I was taking.
That's not. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Who are you? I'm lost.
Dave Schmittou.
Oh, Dave Schmittou. Yeah, he's cool too.
Oh, come on.
I mean, he's no Ross, but whatever. No, I knew you were talking about Schmittou because he was with you what was that, Thursday?
Thursday.
During the drop-in. He's been doing some ridiculous stuff to support teachers during all this, and we both he's just a good dude. But go ahead. What did you have in mind that you wanted to share? I'm totally stealing the spotlight right now, and you are so mad at me right now.
I am, because I really just want to emphasize, when people are really great educators and we love on them and we amplify their story and blah, blah, blah. Dave Schmittou is an amazing educator, but he is just a good human being. Like, I have been most inspired by him over the past few weeks, because he has like completely shifted okay, Jeff, yeah, you're looking at yourself, not you, him, because Dave Schmittou has literally dedicated his life the past few weeks sharing out supports for teachers. He did amazing on the Daily Drop-In. I felt like every word out of his mouth was gold. Like, trying to keep up with him on that live video was a joke and a half. Like, it was so awesome. Well, you didn't need me. You didn't. And can I just say that everyone I know claims to be Dave Schmittou's #1 fan, and I just want everyone on record, I am president of the fan club.
Question, real quick, Miss President, Madam President.
Yes.
Have you ever met Dave in real life?
No, we're virtual friends.
So, question, Mr. Gargus. Yes, what can I do for you? Have you ever met Dave in real life? Oh, yeah, I have. I actually drove out of my way, and he drove out of his way to meet up because I happened to go to the other side of Michigan. And we sat and had a really, really long cup of coffee where we talked about how we were each other's biggest fans.
Did you talk about me the whole time? This is
really
awkward.
The entire time. It was just all about Ray. No, he really is. You are. We're all Dave Schmittou fans. He's also been doing a really cool thing. He kind of got going. He put out a little calendar thing for this hashtag Teacher26, where he's just challenging people to go out and try and run a marathon, but over however many days you need. Which has been real fun to watch. Chad's been doing it. Been getting on it. Tara Martin's been getting on it. Elijah, I'm going to say Elijah's last name wrong. Carabal? I can't say. Is that how you say his last name? Elijah, I'm sorry. If I'm saying it wrong, yell at me. You're awesome, so it doesn't matter. He's wearing, rocking these awesome socks every time he goes out. It's been super cool to have that sort of this another connection to people, and just one more thing that Dave's doing, I think, to help bring people together during this time and stuff. So.
Yeah, so all of you need to go connect with Dave Schmittou. I know we've had him on the podcast before. We've probably spoken about him numerous times. He's got 2 books out. He does a podcast as well that you should all go subscribe to, because, truly, I listen to it every episode. There's one that just came out earlier today, and I'm just a huge Dave Schmittou fan. He always approaches challenging conversations from a lens that is so student-focused, and I really pride myself on being student-focused and all this avenue. He always tops what I'm thinking. It's just amazing to me that we can talk on a topic for hours, and although we both have the same core values, his approach is so full of heart. I just really love his work. So. Yeah,
he's a good guy. I'll make sure that I put all of his links in the show notes, so you can go follow him on Twitter, connect with him on Instagram, get connected to his podcast, go check out his books, all that type of stuff. So shout out to Dave. Hope you're watching, Dave. Hope you're blushing.
I was going to say, are we going to tell him we gave him a shout out, or should we do what's a creepy challenge we could do that people can go connect with him and creepily not tell him that we talked about him?
So I have an idea. So one thing with Dave and I, so Dave is in Michigan, I'm in Ohio. So Dave always, no matter what, and it's always out of love, but he always has to mention something about me being from Ohio, right?
Yes, he always says that.
Ohio State, Michigan, the battle, we're not supposed to the state up north and everything like that. So I think it would be awesome. So Ohio State thing is when you spell out anything with the word M, you put an X instead of the M. So if you could just tweet at Dave, if you're listening, tweet at Dave. I don't care what you say, just do something that uses the word M, but put an X in it instead. That would be awesome. Even if it's hey, Dave Schmittou, but use an X instead of an M in his name or whatever, and then hashtag Teach Better Talk and see if he figures it out.
Or you could just tweet at Dave saying that Ray is president of the fan club, hashtag Teach Better Talk. Whichever is easier for you, since, listeners, Jeff always comes up with the bad ideas. Whichever
is easier, but mine is better because it's more fun.
Yours is very confusing.
Yours is just so self-serving. It's all about you, Ray. It's all about Ray is the fan club. No, we're gonna hit him where it hurts, man. Right in the M.
Dave, I am upset.
Dave will love it. He will love it. He loves it. I love it. I love that he can't not say it to me, and back and forth. So anyway, regardless of whatever you choose to go with here, since now we're just wasting all of your time, just to go follow Dave, connect with him. He's an awesome guy. So
This is the part where Mark Heller is listening, who's one of our listeners in Illinois.
He's like, get to the guest already, guys.
Yeah, he's like, can you guys stop talking? I just like to hear the guest.
Mark, just hit the 30 button, man. Go forward. You're good. Let's talk about our guest now that Mark Heller wants us to talk about the guest. So Kelli Coons is a literacy coach down in Spartanburg, South Carolina. She has worked as a curriculum coach, as a classroom teacher, and in a variety of other things. She does a lot of organizing and helps with the Ed Camp Greenville for the last, I think, like 3 or 4 years, which is a great event that they put on down there with our good friend P. Sloan Joseph is involved in that as well. Kelli is just a super passionate supporter of teachers, and yes, that's her role. She has to support teachers, but she just wants to support teachers all over the place. And she was a lot of fun and incredible insight in here from her sort of viewpoint of what she's doing. We talk a little about what she's doing right now to help encourage her teachers during this time, how she's looking to support not only her teachers but also the community, which I thought was great, how she has a focus on that. Just some really good stuff. She's just a fun person. Super excited to meet her in person at Teach Better 20 when she comes up in October. So if you want to meet Kelli after this episode, you need to come to Teach Better 2020. Anyway, anything you want us to take away from this particular episode?
I thought Kelli had some killer advice, but my favorite part was those 6 questions at the end.
Yes.
So make sure that if you take anything away, you listen to her answers to those 6 questions. Talk about someone's killing it.
Yeah, she absolutely awesome. So with that, let's get in episode 158 with Kelli Coons.
Hey everyone, we're going to get right back to the episode, but I wanted to make sure you had the details of what the team is continuously doing to support all of the educators that are striving to reach their students at a distance. Now, while we will continue to push out content like blogs, podcasts, free downloads, and online courses to support you, we wanted to do more. So you can meet our team live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday in our private Facebook group at 7 a.m. Central, 8 a.m. Eastern for a daily drop-in. During this time, we'll be providing PD for all educators and answering your questions to make sure you feel supported. We'll meet you over in our private Facebook group. You can request to join at teachbettergroup.com or simply by searching Teach Better Team on Facebook. We'll meet you there. Now, let's get back to the episode.
All right, we're here. We are chatting with Kelli Coons, and Kelli, it is awesome chatting with you. We've already been laughing and having a good time before we hit record, so that's always a good sign when we get started on a new episode. So super excited to just kind of learn more about you and your story and what you got going on. Talk to you about some of the stuff that is going on in the world right now. But before we get too deep into stuff, how are you feeling right now?
I think right now is just a very surreal period of time for educators, and it's twofold. It gets me really excited, and it's also just a nervous time because so much is up in the air. And, I think the phrase that I've heard the last 2 weeks more than anything has been this uncharted territory, uncharted waters. And so everybody has used that. But I think I'm excited and I'm encouraged by the credit that educators are getting right now and the parents that are seeing exactly what this looks like, or a portion of what this looks like each day.
Kelli, I was so excited when I saw you on our list for recording tonight because I know the world has just changed so much since the last times we did a Teach Better Talk recording, but I was so excited to bring you on because I know you have so much insight to share and you've been working with teachers throughout this process. So before we get into all the details that I know we're going to talk through today, would you mind kind of sharing with our network kind of what you do, how you usually describe yourself?
Yeah, I really feel like I'm an educational thrill seeker, if you will, and riding that ride and, being one of the first to kind of try some different things because I'm really not afraid of failing in that way. But I'm always looking for ways to increase student engagement, whether it be with a technology tool or a storytelling, something that involves kind of stories and telling the stories of people or of characters, or lesson transformations where you take something boring and basic and you really make it, just you consider it and see it through the student's eyes. And I feel like education, students spend a majority of their day learning, and right now they're at home, but normally in school buildings, and they see their teachers more than they see their parents. So education should be enjoyable, really fulfilling, empowering. And I've been able to coach and encourage teachers for the last 6 years in a few different settings and capacities. And so really just seeing that come all the way from kindergarten to 8th grade, and seeing the different ways that we are able to engage our students is what makes me just really excited about it. And that's kind of what I do. And I feel like a huge part of my job is just being an encourager and someone that they can just talk things through with if they want to try something new.
So I love that. I love that you said educational thrill seeker. And that's just, I really love that. And that you're there, and that a lot of what you're doing is encouraging. So I'm curious, with everything that's going on right now with schools being closed, and we're not really sure what that looks like. Not, some people were very prepared for distance learning. A lot of people are not. Some are right in the middle. There's a lot of trying to figure out what's mandated, what's not, what can I do, what can't I do. What are some of the conversations you're having right now with these teachers that you typically support and encourage, that's around, like what's being asked of you? How are you trying to help those teachers that you work with on a day-to-day basis now that we're in sort of this very unique and challenging situation?
That's a great question. And a lot of the EdTech coaches that I work with and instructional coaches that are in my PLCs, that's been our number one question to each other is, if our position is to fully support teachers or do observations and encourage and go through coaching cycles, what does that look like when we are all so far apart? And I think that some of the different ideas that I'm really excited about is popping into Google Classroom or a Google Meet or a Zoom session when those classes are going on, and still getting to observe what this virtual classroom looks like, as well as looking at the work that's been turned in through Google Classroom by different students. And the thing that really is exciting, to be honest with you, is there's a collaboration between Khan Academy and Disney right now, and it is involving Imagineering, and students are working through almost a project-based learning approach, and they're designing a theme park, designing rides, going through the whole STEM process. And as resources have become available, I've emailed them out to our teachers, and our district has a hyperdoc that all of the coaches have been contributing to share these resources. But I also know that sometimes when you see a hyperdoc that is all hyped up, there are so many links, it's overwhelming. And it's overwhelming for the teachers, similar to the way a lot of this e-learning is overwhelming for the students and parents. So what I've been trying to do is, if I get something emailed to me, or if I get 5 emails that there's a trial or something that they can try that's available to them for free now, that companies are gracious enough to put out, I don't send them 5 emails in one day, one right after another, because I want them to be receptive to it. So I'll choose maybe an afternoon email and a morning email, and I'll send them one each time, and kind of hold back the tidal wave that's coming towards them, and just give them a little bit each time. But what I'm really excited about is a teacher had just emailed me right before we got on, saying that she had started that Imagineering process of that collaboration between Disney, which is huge, and Khan Academy, but those two working together, and how excited her students have been to be, kind of thinking outside the box and doing things outside of what is normally, the status quo in the school building. And I think teachers feel a little bit more freedom in giving the students more assignments and more projects that are like that. And I'm excited about that, but working with them and still encouraging them to try new things, providing the resources, and just continuing to, put out those positive messages to the teachers, and that you're right there with them, and that you realize that they are, they're working really hard, and it's in a new way that we've never done before. And another way, today I hosted, I think of it like Lucy from Peanuts, to be honest with you, but I hosted a little tech help desk at our school where I physically went up to the school. I was helping one person at a time, And it was parents and students that had brought up their devices that couldn't really figure out exactly where to turn something in Google Classroom, or how to open up this link, or how to log into, X, Y, and Z. And so really getting to sit down with the parents and the students and work through that, I feel like is a great way to support the teachers, because then it takes them out of that equation so that they can focus on the content, and then I can work with the community on the tech piece. So
yeah, it's great, because given that the community the ability to use the logistical pieces, that technology, so that the teachers can focus on the content and facilitating the learning is just super crucial. I want to touch on, you mentioned it, or you sort of touched on it, and I've had a lot of conversations recently with a lot of different educators and some admin and leaders and stuff as well, as sort of the silver lining to all this, the positive outlook on all this, and that's, and you kind of touched on this opportunity for teachers to really learn a whole nother way to look at their jobs and the way that they educate and the tools they use and the tactics. And like you mentioned, using these different types of projects and being okay and willing to sort of test those out, maybe fail a little bit, maybe, stumble a little bit and learn these new ways and try things out. I think that's a positive of this whole situation. Are you seeing that? Are you feeling that from your teachers, that they're recognizing that, hey, I have a little more grace than I maybe normally would. I've got a little more of room to kind of dabble and test things out because we're all sort of figuring this out together. Is that something that you're feeling in your area?
Absolutely. And I give a lot of credit to not only our school district superintendent, who has really repeatedly throughout the entire kind of this entire ordeal since it began, that he just said, the main thing that we want students to know is that we love them, we care for them, and that we're all going to be okay when this is over. And that basically he put out, and it was recorded on Facebook, but he said, my challenge to you is for you to teach like you have never taught before, and that I want you to extend grace to your students, but I also want you, if there's been something that you've been wanting to try, I want you to do it. I want you to think beyond. And then when our state superintendent applied for the waiver to waive the standardized testing, which we got approved today, that we won't be doing our regular state assessments, and the students don't have to do that. I feel like we'll see even more of that outside of the box, project-based learning from the teachers, because now they don't feel tied to the test, but they're still very passionate about their content. And so I think that you will see, and I would love to be in school and see what this does to our culture and to the freedom of our teachers in our school, to feel like, okay, I have an idea to teach something this way, and I'm not going to be afraid for that to fail, because even if it fails, I've tried it, the students have experienced it, and now I can, iterate and think about a new way to do this. And they have that, because they're not going to be held accountable in a traditional means, and they're not measured by a multiple choice test. They're, the output ideally is going to be that these students grow because they've had freedom to think in ways that they've not been challenged to think before.
I love it. I think we're going to see a lot of changes happen after all this is done, and I think for the better. And I think that's a lot of what you're talking about is what's going to lead to that. So really appreciate you kind of going off that way with me and talking about the current stuff. So I do want to flip, one of the things that we talk about a lot on this podcast is failure, and sort of telling the stories about failing and overcoming failure and things like that. So can you tell us a story about a time that you've had a failure? Sort of tell us what happened. How did you overcome that? And what did you take away from that experience?
Well, I really think, and it's been a long time coming as far as, our own personal journeys with failure. I think when you first experience failure, that, it's definitely something that you take personal, you take it to heart, and you really feel defeated about. But I think that in order for you to grow personally and professionally, I feel like that's essential for everyone to experience some type of failure at some point in time. And I can think about a few years ago, I had just completed my ed specialist degree, and I wanted a job in administration, either as an assistant principal or administrative assistant, whatever that job may have been called or named at the time. working in an administrative capacity straight out of the classroom. And I think the best thing anybody could have ever done for me is allow me to be an instructional coach. I think that moving out of the classroom and being an instructional coach had allowed me to see a different perspective, but it's been kind of the in-between of those two. And I went on a lot of, I'll say quite a few interviews, and it would come down to the final 2 or final 3. And it was, it wasn't about what I did or didn't have. It was more about a fit within that building. And, you get yourself really worked up and you start picturing yourself in that situation. And then all of a sudden it's somebody else's time or it's somebody else's turn. And, even verbally being told, hey, you've got that job. Here's what I want to tell you about, what's going to happen. And then all of a sudden it doesn't happen. I've just really learned that everything in life happens for a reason, and you've got to be patient. Most important thing to do is to allow yourself the time to be upset or disappointed, but really only for a moment, and just push yourself to move past that. Believe in yourself, remember your why, remember your purpose, and just get right back out there. And that's the best thing that you can do, because it's not always your plan, and there's so many other decisions and things that, get in the way and that are roadblocks, but, they're roadblocks and they can delay you for a little bit, but it's temporary. And so, I can remember being very low, very upset that I had failed and not gotten a couple of positions that I really thought were mine, and being very disappointed. And, I think just sometimes things happen that you don't even anticipate, and opportunities you don't even see coming, and you just have to be patient and wait for it. So,
but I think through all that, like seeing the positive, seeing the silver lining, and trying to persevere forward and know that these roadblocks are only, a part of the journey, is a huge part of us not only persevering through the time we're in now, but persevering through some of the elements that you talked about that you've experienced. I think all educators right now and in their past are just such champions when they're able to see these hurdles as just one-time hiccups into the longer journey. I love that you shared that.
Yeah, and you really need to use that as a source of just self-empowerment, really. And I think when you come through these experiences, if your goal is to mentor or to work with other educators, you can say, I've been there and done that, and this is where I'm at, or this is what I've done since then, as an encouraging point to just keep moving. Of course, there are things that you find out afterwards, a job you didn't get, but something happened, and somebody else who got it, might not have done as well as you would. And so you can kind of think of it like, okay, well, that was a door shut for a reason, and a window opened after that. And I went ahead and climbed out the window instead and did something different. But I think everything happens for a reason.
I love that. I totally agree. So with everything that you not only have experienced that have maybe gotten you to this point, but also the massive positive impact that you continue to have with not only students, but with teachers as well, what's kind of keeping you excited right now about education? What's really fueling your fire?
Just to keep it really current right now, I'm really excited at this quick turnaround time that our teachers have been able to flip their classrooms from in-person, face-to-face, side-by-side learning to flip them and integrate more technology and reaching their students through distance learning. I am really impressed and by their willingness not only to learn about what they need to do, but also to implement some new technology tools so that they can keep their students plugged in and engaged. And as an instructional and a technology coach, although this situation is not ideal, it's not what we want, it's not what we would have pictured, 5 weeks ago. It really gives me a huge sense of pride to be in the education field and to see teachers embracing these ideas, maintaining connections with their students, and just really, that's a tall order to start flipping your classroom on a moment's notice, maybe on a Friday right before a weekend, and then to have devices ready to push out and Google Classroom stacked with all of your e-learning on a Monday afterwards. And it happened in my school. I know it happened in several neighboring districts. So I'm just really proud. And I know that in our culture, teachers do not get the credit that they deserve, and that they're the first ones on the news when one of them messes up. And this just really, I think, gives the public a new appreciation for the amount of work and just the socio-emotional aspect of it as well that teachers give to their students.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So with the terms of like supporting teachers throughout this time, I mean, I know it's so tricky because there's so many pieces of advice I'm sure that you can provide an educator who is not only trying to dabble with all these new available resources, but also trying to support their students virtually. What is your best piece of advice for a teacher trying to continue forward in building, this dream classroom?
Well, I think that the best piece of advice would be for any teacher to find your people. Find the people that aren't yes people all of the time, aren't the people that say, yeah, that's a really good idea. Yes, that's good. You want people to kind of challenge your thinking. You want people to encourage you. And whether it's people that are in your building or in your district, or maybe you found them in a Facebook group or a Twitter chat, but find people that are like-minded, not so much alike that they're going to say yes to everything, but like-minded, that are in the same stage or mindset that you're in. And, or find an unofficial or official mentor that will be there for you, even when, and especially when you don't tell them that you need them. But building a small little PLN of people that will support you, hear you out, help you find resources makes a world of difference. Educators tend to feel really lonely and isolated, and I'm sure right now especially, but you really need to have a support group that keeps you rooted in your purpose. And I can speak personally, in my role as an instructional coach, I'm the only instructional coach in my building. And it's been that way for the last 6 years, where you're kind of the lone wolf and you're the go-between between the administration and the teachers. And so, you're kind of by yourself, and you have to really be proactive in reaching out to people that are in similar roles as you, maybe in other buildings or other states, and really just touch base, check in, create a group chat, go on the Marco Polo app, join a Facebook group together, and just really encourage one another and share opportunities and resources. But I think for me, that has been just a savior in several times, where the lows get really low, and someone to celebrate your highs with. But that would be my number one piece of advice, because that's going to make or break you staying in the education field.
Yeah, and that is so important, like you said, even more so right now during just a challenging time and a time of unknowns, and like I said, just feeling even more and more isolated, because now you don't have the hallway conversations, right? The teacher's lounge in the morning, you don't have any of that interaction. So having those people that you can connect to and still be able to have those interactions virtually right now is really, really crucial. So great advice there. Let's have a little bit of fun now, Kelli. We're going to do the next 6 questions, and okay. Your goal is to answer each one in 15 seconds or less. You ready to go?
Sure, yes.
All right, what is one EdTech tool you cannot live without?
Peardeck. It turns the slides into a presentation, and it's interactive, informative, and all that good stuff.
Give us a book that you're reading right now.
The Interactive Class by Joe and Kristen Merrill.
Give us up to 3 people that we should follow on Twitter or Instagram today.
Okay. D. Lanier, he's at D. Lanier. The Merrills at the Merrills EDU, and Jenny Magera at Miss Magera.
She's killing it.
She is. She really is. What's a good YouTube channel or website for educators?
I really like Jen Jones with Hello Literacy. If you want to talk about somebody who shares absolutely everything that they have when it comes to literacy, she is the queen.
Give us a daily, weekly, or monthly routine every teacher should get into.
I think like a morning affirmation, or to check in with your little PLN and connect with people who cheer for you and can make you better.
And what is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I didn't receive this directly, but the advice came in the form of a quote by Dabo Swinney. He says, "Don't worry about criticism from people that you wouldn't seek advice from."
Oh, that is so.
I want it on a t-shirt.
That is so good.
Don't worry about criticism from people you wouldn't seek advice from. Wow.
Yeah.
That is good.
Yeah.
Yep. And unfortunately, too many of us worry about what other people think when we don't even really like them.
Yes. And I think that is really where, when we talk about thrill seeking, you want to go out there, but you're worried that the teacher next door might be like, oh, she's so extra. Why is she doing all that? But you shouldn't worry about criticism from people like that, because you're not going to go to that person for advice. You're going to do your own thing, or you're going to ask the people that support you. So,
yep.
Man, Kelli Coons hitting it out of the park.
That was my favorite quote this year.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'm going to write that down. That's going to be plastered somewhere in my office somewhere. I think that's awesome. So I want to make sure our listeners can stay connected with you, because I can only imagine that with all the things that you shared today, I bet this is only just the top of the iceberg in terms of everything that you continue to do to support educators. So how can people stay connected to you, whether it be on Twitter, Instagram, or anything in between?
I think Twitter is probably the best way to reach me at TOO legit LEGIT, and then teach, capital T, EACH. And then I also have Instagram. That's at 2legit teaching, and there's a double T in both of those handles, just so you know.
Love it. You can find all the links and resources, everything we talked about in this episode over at teachbetter.com, as well as really important links for connecting with Kelli and keeping that conversation going. So make sure you head over to teachbetter.com for the show notes there. Be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And if you can give us a rating and review, really appreciate that as well. Let's keep taking this one step further. Think of just 3 of your colleagues who need to hear these amazing stories, and share this podcast with them. Kelli, this was awesome. Really appreciate you coming on, giving us some of your time, having some fun with us, and really sharing your insight. Just thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited. I love listening to the Teach Better team. Anything that y'all put out is so good. And it's a huge part of our professional development and our PLC, and just we just love the content, and it's not fluff. It's the real stuff. So
thank you. That means the absolute world to all of us. So I really appreciate you saying that a whole lot. And with that, until next time, let's get out there and let's teach better.